The Supreme Court is once again turning its attention to the contentious issue of congressional redistricting. On Friday, the justices ordered new arguments in a pivotal case from Louisiana, signaling that the battle over political maps remains a top priority ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. The case, Louisiana versus Calais, centers on the state's newly drawn congressional map, which for the first time includes a second majority black district. The central question is whether the intentional creation of this district constitutes an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. This development comes after the court heard initial arguments in March, but then unexpectedly punted a final decision stating it needed more information. Now both parties have been ordered to submit new briefs by mid-September, with replies due by early October, just as the court's new term begins. The case underscores the difficult tightrope states must walk, balancing the Voting Rights Act's protections against diluting minority voting power with the 14th Amendment's prohibition on using race as the predominant factor in drawing district lines. The new Louisiana map, Daenerys, which created a district stretching 250 miles from Shreveport to Baton Rouge, was itself a response to a court order that found a previous map with only one majority black district was discriminatory. The High Court's renewed focus on this issue comes as similar, politically charged fights erupt elsewhere, most notably in Texas, where Democratic lawmakers recently fled the state to prevent a vote on a new map favoring Republicans. Meanwhile, another legal battle with significant political implications is unfolding in Washington. California Senator Adam Schiff is now the subject of a federal criminal investigation for alleged mortgage fraud. According to a Trump administration source, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland is conducting the probe. This investigation stems from a criminal referral sent to the Department of Justice by the Federal Housing Finance Agency last month. The core of the allegation is that Senator Schiff may have falsified documents to secure more favorable loan terms. Specifically, investigators are looking into claims that Schiff certified a property in Montgomery County, Maryland, as his primary residence in a 2011 affidavit. However, public records and campaign filings show that Schiff has also claimed a condominium in Burbank, California, as his primary residence, including as recently as his 2023 Senate campaign. Declaring a property as a primary residence can result in lower interest rates and other financial benefits on a mortgage. Falsifying such information on loan applications is a federal offense. As a prominent Democrat and the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Schiff has been a frequent and vocal critic of former President Trump, making this investigation by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney particularly notable. Senator Schiff's office has not yet issued a public comment on the developing story. From a current official under scrutiny to a look back at the previous administration, a House committee heard new testimony Tuesday regarding the health of former President Joe Biden. Bruce Reed, who served as a White House deputy chief of staff, told investigators that Mr. Biden's former physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, had dismissed the value of cognitive tests, calling them meaningless. Reed's testimony is the latest development in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into whether senior aides to the former president worked to conceal a decline in his cognitive abilities. According to a source familiar with the closed-door interview, Reed defended his former boss, attributing Mr. Biden's widely criticized debate performance against Donald Trump in 2024 to his well-documented stutter. Reed insisted that Americans should not have had concerns about the ex-president's mental faculties. He also told the committee that the Biden campaign's decision to hold the debate unusually early was a deliberate strategy to get ahead of early voting and was unrelated to concerns about the president's age. This testimony adds another layer to the ongoing probe, which has also focused on Dr. O'Connor, who invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination when he was called to testify last month. The committee, led by Republican James Comer, continues to investigate whether Mr. Biden was fully in command of his presidential duties during his term. The Trump administration is making a significant pivot in the nation's public health strategy. The Department of Health and Human Services announced Tuesday that it is canceling 22 contracts for mRNA vaccine development, a move that cuts roughly $500 million in federal funding. The canceled projects were part of BARDA, the government's Advanced Research and Development Authority responsible for preparing for national health threats. In a statement, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the decision was made after a thorough review of the science. He argued that the data shows mRNA vaccines failed to effectively protect against upper respiratory infections like COVID-19 and the flu. Kennedy also raised concerns about a phenomenon known as antigenic shift, suggesting that the narrow focus of mRNA vaccines can paradoxically encourage viruses to mutate, potentially prolonging pandemics. He pointed to the Omicron variant of COVID-19, which infected millions of vaccinated individuals, as an example. The canceled funding will be redirected toward what the Secretary called safer, broader vaccine strategies, such as traditional whole virus vaccines and other novel platforms that may remain effective even as viruses change. While this marks a major policy shift, officials noted it will not halt all government-funded mRNA research, as some work at the National Institutes of Health will continue. And finally, a new report from the FBI paints a complex picture of crime in the United States. The Bureau's annual Unified Crime Report for 2024 shows significant and widespread drops across most major crime categories. Overall, violent crime decreased by 4.5% compared to the previous year, marking the second consecutive annual decline. The data, collected from nearly 96% of the nation's law enforcement agencies, also shows a nearly 15% drop in murders and manslaughters, reaching a 9-year low. Property crime also fell by about 8%, with burglaries down over 8% and motor vehicle thefts plummeting by a remarkable 18%. However, the report includes some sobering caveats that temper the positive news. The number of law enforcement officers feloniously killed in the line of duty over the past 4 years reached its highest point in 2 decades. Furthermore, reported assaults on officers hit a 10-year high in 2024. The report also revealed another disturbing trend: a nearly 6% increase in reported hate crimes against Jewish individuals, reaching the highest number since the FBI began collecting this data in 1991. So while the broad national trends point toward a safer country, the data highlights persistent and growing dangers in specific areas, underscoring the challenges that remain for communities and law enforcement nationwide.